So, thank you everybody for coming. Today, I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm really going to be concentrating more on the inspector in Unity. I've got Blender open just in case, because I'm probably going to need it at some point. But I've basically just got a plain brand new project, and I've just got a few assets that I've imported just in case I use them. These are just free asset packs that I downloaded off the Unity store, so nothing. Everybody should be able to do this. Just have a search for the kind of stuff you're after, and there's plenty of free stuff you can play around with. But what I specifically wanted to do today was, as I say, concentrate on the inspector a little bit, because there's some cool things you can do purely in Unity without having to fiddle on in Blender using arrays and all kinds of things. You can literally just bring in an asset and randomly scatter it about. So if you wanted, some trees on a plane or something, or you wanted to make some stairs, you could do it uniformly. And as I say, without having to do it all in Blender, you can just use some blocks and kind of distribute them around. And it's something that not a lot of people know about. Most people, I think, know that in the inspector you can, let's just stick a plane in to get us started. In the inspector, you can, in case you didn't know, if you hit the F button, I should have turned my screencast. Oh, I can't turn my screencast keys on in Unity. I can in Blender. Let's get them turned on. But yeah, in Unity, just hit F to zoom in on the object that you've got highlighted, you've got selected. And most people obviously know that you can adjust positions and rotations and things in here, but not many people know that you can actually do calculations in here. So a simple one would be, if I wanted, these planes I think are usually around 10 by 10. Yeah, 10 by 10. So if I did another one, I could just duplicate this one and move it. I could either do it manually, move it along. You can hold the V key and you can snap it, but you can see it snapped it to -10. If I did this again and duplicated it, I could actually add 10 to it, or I could, let's just set that one to 10 and then duplicate it again, and I could just add 10 in case your mental arithmetic is so bad that you really don't know what that is. But you can add stuff. So 20, you could have 20 -10, or just do whatever you like, and you can do numerical calculations. But what not a lot of people don't know is it also has this function. Let's just get rid of all of these. And what am I going to use? This one maybe? I don't know what I'm going to use. Maybe pure poly prefabs. Yeah, we'll use this one because it's got a ground in there. So just as an example, we'll just select all the trees that's in here. There's a couple of conifers and a couple of deciduous. We'll just drag all 4 of them in, and they all spawn in the same spot. That's fine. We'll duplicate those. So we've got 8 trees, and then maybe, I don't know, I'm trying to see how big this is. This is probably like 20 by 20, isn't it? This ground. So if we select all of the trees, and let's say we want to distribute them randomly across the X and the Z axes, we'll go into X first. And this is important, it has to be capitals. You can type capital R, and then because the origin point of this ground is at 0, want it to go from -10 to +10, say, or -9 to +9, so they're not going all the way to the edge. So -9, comma 9, close your brackets, and it's distributed them that way. A little bit odd, but it has done it. we'll do the same again. -9, 9. And it's kind of randomly distributed them. And then all we need to do is go to each one, make sure it's not buried in the ground a bit. You don't need to do this if you're using a flat plane, but obviously this ground is a bit, let's just move that over here a bit. This ground's a bit bumpy, so it's going to be different for each object where it needs to sit. And then the only other thing we haven't done is obviously every tree has come in, be it looking identical, like for instance this tree and this tree, I believe, are the same, tree number 10, and they've both got exactly the same rotation on them. I want to do a bit of random rotation, so under rotation, the y-axis is the one pointing up and down, so I want it to spin around that. So we'll do random, and let's say from 0 to 180 degrees, say. Oh, I've done it with the with the environment as well. Let's just deselect that. Random, 0 to 180. And that's given us a little bit of randomness so that every tree doesn't look perfectly uniform. And already we've got a little bit of a forest going on, and I haven't actually had to place every single tree individually and adjust the rotation to make them look a little bit random. I don't know if anybody remembers near the beginning of these sessions when we were making the cave, we made some rocks, and I went through with every single rock and rotated it a little bit so you couldn't tell I was actually using the same asset for each rock. As I say, if you have lots of objects, this is a good way of getting around having to do that. It saves a huge amount of time. So we could bring in some other things. We'll just try these rocks here. I'll just bring them up a little bit, and we'll duplicate them. Quick way of duplicating, you can right click and choose duplicate, or you can just do what I do and hit Control and D. And we'll do it again. So we've got a few rocks in the place, and this time not only do I want to scatter them randomly and rotate them randomly, but I want to adjust the size and make those a little bit random as well. So I'll do the same thing. We'll do -9 to 9. And again, -9 to 9. We'll rotate them a bit. Rotate 0 to 180. And then the size. The full size, the size these are now is 1. So let's make it, let's see, from, I don't know, we'll just guess 0.3 to 1, so we get plenty of variation. And when we put the random value in each one of these axes, these directions as well, we're going to get some thinner and some longer and some taller, which will just add a nice amount of variation. But I'm just going to use the same value, 0.3 to 1 in each of them. And then we've got a little skinny tall rock there, and we've got a kind of fattish rock here, and yeah, got some nice variation going on. As I say, you can leave them buried in the ground if you want, or you can lift them up a little bit, whatever floats your boat. And you can just keep going with this. We could add some, have we got some grass? Yeah, there's some grass there. We'll stick a bit of that in. We'll put quite a bit of grass in, I think. And do the same thing. We'll do the rotation first. 0 to 180. And this time I think I'm gonna do -10 to 10. And I'll just copy that so I don't have to type it all in again. And then we just need to lift it all up a little bit. And it does mean, because I've done lots of grass, technically what you should be doing is going round each of these and making sure they're not floating above the ground. It would take a while to do this all manually, but there's not a quick way of doing this bit. And you just got to make sure it's not kind of stuck inside of a rock or a tree trunk or something. But the hard part is actually done.
How do you spread them out like that without them all being duplicated in the same spot?
Yeah, I'll show you again. We'll do it with something else. Let's find something else to bring in. What we're going to do. Shall we do all these mushrooms? These look interesting. Little orange and purple curly mushrooms. Stick those in. There they are. So we're just going to lift them up a bit. Kind of above the ground as best we can. And we'll duplicate them. And again, it's probably too many, but hey ho, I don't care. So we go to position. So we want to scatter it randomly across the X and randomly across the Z, forwards and backwards. So we use a capital R,
Right.
and then in parentheses where you want it to be scattered from and to. So this is a 10 by 10 ground, and the center is at 0. So we're going to go from, no, it's a 20 by 20 ground, sorry. So we're going to go from -10 to 10. Close the brackets, and it's scattered them across that way. And if we do the same in the Z,
oh wow,
capital R, -10, 10, and they're scattered around. And then just to make them a little bit more random, so they've got a random rotation as well, I've been doing capital R, 0 to 180 degrees, just randomly. And that should make them all look a little bit different. And then again, we'll go to each one, make sure it's not floating above the ground. That one's okay. As I say, it does take a little bit of time to do this bit, but the hard work, as I say, is absolutely just done for you. And in the space of, how long have I been doing this? 10 minutes. We've got a little foresty kind of environment going on. But yeah, I'm not going to do all of them, but you get the idea. And you can just keep scattering things about and making them look cool. This would have taken me way, way, way longer if I was putting in these bits of grass one at a time, for instance, and making sure they're rotated a bit and trying to make sure they're not looking the same as the ones next to them. And we've literally just done it in a few minutes. So that is quite cool. And another thing you can do, which I think is awesome, and I wanted to kind of probably demonstrate this in Blender, I think. Well, I'm just going to quickly create something that I can't really do with the primitives that come with Unity. So I'm just going to we'll add a cylinder, and we'll make it nice and tall, maybe, oh, maybe 10 meters tall. Is that showing up as 10 meters? Yes, it is. And I'll just select that face there and put the origin on the face so that when I hit Alt and G, it centers it. And we'll add auto smooth shading. That'll do for now. Actually, no, you know what? Let's make it 1 by 1 so it's nice and skinny. So that'll do for now. And I'll just export that as a column. I know I get carried away. I use hotkeys to do this. So you either file, export, FBX, or do what I do, which is so quick, F4, which brings up the same menu, E for export, F for FBX, and stick it in the right place. I've called this distribution tut selected objects, and we'll call it column. So we'll start with that. And here's my column. So we'll just stick that in the center. And then yeah, we'll create some kind of step, because I'm going to do a quick way in Unity of creating spiral stairs that go up this column. So we'll just add a cube. And I'll do the same thing again, just select that face, put the origin to it, and I'm going to go into edit mode because I want the origin to stay where it is. So I'm just going to move this along on the X for now and start to try and make something that kind of looks like a step, I guess. Still a bit, yeah, maybe something like that. And just move it along so it's intersecting the column slightly, but its origin is still at the center because I want this to be the pivot point that it spins around. So I will export that and we'll just call it step. There's the step. And then I'm not going to move them up above the ground just yet. I'll just let it do its thing and then move everything at the end of it all. So with the step, I'm not sure how many steps I'm going to need. It is going to take a little bit of trial and error. So for now, I'll start with, I'm just going to double them. So I'll probably start with maybe 16. So we've got 2, 4, 8, and 16 steps. We'll see how we get on with that. And this is 10 meters tall. And it's starting off at position 0. So under the Y axis this time, and we're not going to use R for random, we're going to use L. Not sure what it stands for, possibly length. It's going to distribute them evenly across whatever I specify. So I'm going to say from 0, which is the bottom, to 10 at the top. And as soon as you close it, you can see we've got steps evenly distributed. Oop. And then we just need to rotate it. And I don't know how much we need to rotate it by, but we use the same again, L, and then the number of degrees. So we'll go from 0 to 360 and see how we get on with that. That's done one full turn. Bit of a steep staircase, probably need more steps. So we'll maybe add another 8. So just duplicate them. Do the same thing again. You just re-enter your formula. So L, 0 to 10, and it'll redistribute them and then do the rotation again from 0 to 360. And that is looking totally wonky. Don't know what I did there. It looks kind of funky, doesn't it? That's a weird looking tree. Try it again. 0 to 360. Oh, I've done random. That's why. It's L. That's why. There we go. Nice and even. Still probably need them closer together, but you know, we'll add another. Yeah, let's add another 8. And then really it's just a case of, are you happy with how far apart they are? If you don't want them to go that high, because obviously this is going higher than the column because the origin point was on the base, like the bottom edge. You can just adjust it there. We might say we want to go 0 to 9 rather than adding more steps. Let's push them up closer. You might decide you don't want them to overlap quite as much as this. So you would add a little bit more spin. So rather than going to 360, go a little bit further. Maybe, I don't know, try 400. And that should be giving us a bit more of a spin anyway. It seems to me that they're actually overlapping more. Does it to you? 0 to 360. No, they're not actually. I just need to change this to like maybe 500. Yeah, that's okay. 500, and we've got a nice set of stairs, and then I would just select the column and all the steps, probably put them in an empty so it's all one, like in its own group kind of thing. But there we go, we've got some spiral staircase, a spiral staircase in the middle of a forest. A bit weird, but you know. And in fact, I've been working on my Christmas house trying to optimize it a little bit more. And that's exactly what I did when I made the fence. If it decides to open. Well, we'll leave that for now. I don't know why it's taken so long, but yeah. It's basically, it's like a white picket fence, and every little lat along the fence as it goes along, I just used this, just distributed it along the length of it. And yeah, it worked out pretty good. So I'll show you that in a minute when it's decided to load up. In the meantime, we could, for instance, we could add anything else we liked in here. What we got? We got sunflowers. I do like a sunflower. Let's pop that in. Preferably not in the middle of the... That's a very small sunflower, don't you think? Somebody hasn't got a clue how big they actually grow. So we'll make this a bit bigger. That's more like it. Because I've seen sunflowers well over 6 feet tall. So we'll add a few of them. Random. Minus 10 to 10. Random. Minus 10 to 10. Random. 0 to 180. All right, that needs a bit lower. And I think that's it. There we go. probably not very realistic. I'm sure you wouldn't normally get sunflowers in the middle of a forest and just a random spiral staircase, but you know, you got to admit that was pretty quickly done. And then literally because it's, yeah, because you're using the same object all the time, you only have to unwrap that one step once while reusing the same mesh over and over and over again. So there's none of the having to UV unwrap everything bit by bit. Just unwrap the one step and reuse it. You know what I'm like. I'm a big fan of making a separate channel for the light map because I just think Unity's horrible and does a crap job. So I always do my own light maps. Simple as that. I'll just give it a bit of padding. And I can literally overwrite the step and it's changed everything. Oh, there's my Christmas house open. And it's changed everything. So if I decide to mark all those as static and just turn on auto generate so we can check if they're working okay. I've just marked the steps as static, nothing else. Actually, you know what? Let's do the column as well. We might as well. And that actually looks pretty good to me. Them shadows there. Looks nice. What I'll do, I'll mark everything. And we'll just let it do its stuff and we'll go over and have a look at the Christmas house. So the fence that I did out here, again, literally this was exactly the same thing. I literally went from the end, from there to there, and just said distribute them evenly along the length of the fence. And that's it done. So it's the same, you can see it's exactly the same mesh for each one, fence 7, because, you know, I had that many versions of it. I settled on this one. And that's all I did. I think for the, somewhere around here, there's a gate. I had to go the long way around, didn't I? And even this is the same. It's just a little bit lower and on the other side of the, I don't know what you call this, the crossways bit of the gate. Otherwise, no different at all. But yeah, I don't think I used it anywhere else though. The beams I probably should have done, but I did it the hard way and I did the beams one by one, even though I'm reusing the same mesh all the way along. I actually did everything by hand before I remembered that I could do it the quick way. So I did that for the fence because I thought otherwise I'm going to be on for hours doing this fence if I don't use Unity's own way of doing stuff. So, and there's our lighting baked. Yeah. I don't think these assets are made for baked lighting though. You can see how blotchy they are. They probably don't have light maps included. I'm guessing I should have. Maybe double checked if they had a light map channel. Let's try just generating light map UVs in Unity and see how it copes. There we go. Yeah, so that clearly haven't got light maps as standard as they come. Oh, so we just have to add them manually. But that's okay, it's no biggie. Normally I would import the FBXs into Blender and do it myself, but I'm not doing that. Why is it doing that? Probably because I haven't hit apply. Yeah. Trying to think what else I've actually used in here. There was 2 birches. You know what? Let's just select them all. If it's going to let me. There we go. So yeah, what else could I do? I could do a fence, couldn't I? That wouldn't be too difficult to do. Probably that an easiest way, easier than I did it with a fence, would be something like start off with a cube. And let's just enter these manually. So we want it to be, let's see, 2 inches that way. And we'll scale it along the Y so it's about like that. And we'll move it up so it's just above the ground. And in fact, I think I'll just duplicate that. We'll rotate it along the X by 90. We'll move it back a bit. And then with the good old face project turned on, we'll move it again, hold down control, and it just lines it up perfectly with that face. And we'll move it up to about there, and we'll move it along to about there. In fact, no, we'll line it up perfectly with that face there. And then we'll duplicate it and we'll move it down to about there. And that'll do, I think. So if I join these together, actually no, we'll duplicate that and just do I need to? Yes, I do. No, I don't. We'll not duplicate that. We're just going to add in a cylinder. This is what happens when I do stuff on the fly. I can't decide what I actually want to achieve and just play around with it until I get something. We'll scale it up a little bit so it's a bit higher than the actual fence. We'll Pi Auto Smooth. And we'll just move that over a little bit. So that's going to be our fence post. Right, and then have I joined these together? No, I haven't, so I will. That's going to be my fence. So, I think I kind of want that also to have the origin at the bottom. Okay. So we'll start off by exporting the fence post. And then we'll export the fence. And then see what we can do with it. So we'll start off putting a fence post in. That'll do, and we'll move it over to here. And then bring in a fence. Actually, we probably should have. Nah, it's fine. We'll just rotate that by 180. Bring that up. Line it up so it's right next to me fence post. That'll do for now. And then I guess we just do the same thing with this. I've not tried this. Let's see what happens. So L, hang on, it's 9.73. It is there. So let's just start it at exactly that point. So 9.73 to, I don't know, -10. Am I going along the right thing? Who knows? Oh, that hasn't worked. Well, oh, you know why. Try duplicating it, Lisa. That would help. You need a few bits to work with. I wonder. See, the thing is, I haven't a clue which axis I'm working on because the arrows on the object don't match the world. So I could have just changed it to global instead of local, but I didn't. So -8.98 to 10 we're going to do. I think. Right. That's clearly too far. So you see what I mean, how it does take a little bit of trial and error to get it right. But, you know, you get there in the end. I could have done this in
And
Blender. Mm-hmm.
compared to placing all those manually, that 2 minutes of trial and error is nothing.
Yeah, yeah, I know. And like I say, I mean, even if you were to make this out of Unity cubes, you could absolutely make a fence out of Unity cubes, no problem. Um, I do understand that not everybody is comfortable using 3D modeling software. And if this is a way of being able to build something really cool without spending hours, like you say, manually placing every single cube and resizing it. I mean, how long's it taken to do that fence? It's like nothing really, is it? I mean, they're still too far apart, of course. I could have spent a bit more time on it, but yeah, it's still quite impressive what you can do with it. So yeah, I agree wholeheartedly that it's a really nice way. It's a really nice way of just scattering stuff. You want to make a little forest scene or whatever, you absolutely can very quickly. And there's no add-ons, there's no fancy software. I'm not promoting any kind of add-ons this week, even if they are free. This is all just built into Blender and it's as easy as anything to do. So, yeah, I've
And since
really.
you're using essentially copies of the same,
Mhm.
oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, carry on.
If you're using copies of the same, oh, if you're using copies of the same asset, doesn't that also keep the scene rather small,
Yes, it does.
size-wise?
It is way more performant. Yes, absolutely. It's got, it's just, if you can reuse as many shaders and materials and textures and meshes and everything, just reuse the same things as much as possible and keep the number of unique assets, single unique assets, down to a minimum, then you're already onto a winner as far as I'm concerned with optimizing your scene. And it gives you more scope to have a bit more play with other stuff, to be a bit more adventurous with other things. You're freeing up those resources to do cool stuff with shaders, and maybe if you need to get away with the odd larger texture if it really needs it in your scene. And yeah, absolutely, absolutely, it's a great way of yeah, improving performance. I'm trying to think. There was something else I wanted to go through and I've forgotten what it was. Damn. I'm sure it'll come to me. Hopefully it'll come to me before the end of this session. If anybody remembers what I was trying to think of, let me know. Oh man. That must be English humour, because that fell flat as a fart, didn't it? It just totally didn't do anything. Oh man.
I'm muted, so you can't hear the chuckle.
Oh well, that's
I'm pretty sure you weren't trying to.
reassuring that I'm not just being a weirdo.
Yeah.
I'm sure many people think I am a weirdo, but hey ho. Minus 10 to 10. You can actually get quite addicted to this and just end up throwing more and more things in your scene. Before you know it, it's like, hey, this is amazing. I did this so quickly. This is the only annoying thing. Like I say, if you're building on a plane, you've got nothing to worry about. But when you've got an uneven terrain, yeah, you've got to just go through each thing one by one and make sure it's not buried like this one is, or levitating like this one is. But I mean, this, it's nothing. It just literally takes a few minutes just to go through everything and do a bit of fine tuning, really. Well, that's not very good, is it? Stick that there. And that's it. That's me hyacinths done. Ooh, I've remembered what it was now. Right, so let me just take all these stairs that I made and I'll stick them in a empty parent, because then I'll just rename that to stairs. And I'll move this a little bit. Because what I want to do, let's see if I can find a different kind of mushroom from a different pack. What have I got? Maybe this one? Yeah, we'll use this. This is a nice looking little thing. So Okay, so let's have a think. Now, I am going to be honest, I'm no mathematician. I did have to look this formula up. It was never my strong point in maths at school, but so I'm just going to be copying and pasting. But you'll know what I mean in a moment when we get this few of these going. Let's start with 8 maybe, or maybe 12. We'll try 12 mushrooms to start with. And we'll do the old random thing again. So 0 to 180. And it doesn't work unless you have a capital R. There we go. Right, so let's have a think. Is it in here? Yes, it is. Formulas. These was me reminders. So we can do a little fairy ring if we paste the cosine in this little formula and then the sine into the X and Z position fields. Pop that one into there. And that one into there. And we got a little fairy ring. And you can literally put them into an empty as well. Not like that, Lisa. An empty parent, I should have done. Empty parent. Let's just get rid of that. And we're going to call that fairy ring. And then just go through them again. And that is quite a cool thing you can do. I mean, if you can imagine, you know, you might want to do, I don't know, maybe some kind of portal ring or something of glowing orbs or glowing rocks or anything really. Do these all look like they haven't rotated to you? Because they kind of do to me. They all look the same. They all look more or less identical. I could be wrong. Let's do that again. So rotate 0 to 180. Yeah, maybe I'm just doing it wrong. Minus 45 to 45, maybe? Yeah. Whatever.
Like I said, they could be so close to each other when you rotate them, they don't look very different.
Yeah, that's probably what it is. Oh, look at that. He's hidden. So yeah, that's a cool way of making a circle. Like I say, I mean, you could have, let's try it with all of this grass that we've got dotted around. We'll just reset everything and zoom in on it. Just move it up a little bit. And then I'll not bother wasting time with a rotation. We could try, I don't know, if we plugged sine into the X, do you think? We might get, let's try changing this to something a bit bigger. Maybe multiply by 3. Yeah, you can't really see it, can you? Clearly, I don't understand the formula well enough to be able to increase the amplitude. Or maybe I should have used cosine. I have no idea. If anybody understands maths better than me, please speak up, because I'm a numpty when it comes to it. But yeah, I did notice when I when I had a big long line of sticks playing with this earlier on, I had a lovely sine wave going on, which could be useful for some people. But yeah, I think that's kind of about it, really. I just wanted to give a few examples of what you could do with this, and I'm sure some people could be way more creative than me. You can do some awesome things just by putting in, mathematical formulas into these fields. If you're a whiz with maths, I would love to see what you can do with it. And like I say, stick your formulas in a notepad so you can just copy and paste as well. And it saves you having to do any kind of coding if coding's not your strong point, which it isn't with me. I haven't even tried to play with visual scripting yet. Simply not had the time. I'd love to. So this is my workaround. This is, yeah, the idiot's guide of coding. So, yeah, I would love to see what people do with it. If anybody has a use for this, it would be awesome to see. But when you think we've done all of this in like less than an hour, and we've got some interesting things going on, these stairs would be brilliant. I've done spiral staircases before, but I really want to do like something that really makes use of them more. Spiral staircases and bridges. It's just got me, yeah, I don't know. It's just a fascination, I suppose. So, I think we're going to leave it there. 3 minutes to spare. Does anybody have any questions? If you have, you'll have to unmute yourself because this is a very awkward silence and makes me feel uncomfortable.
Nope, I ain't got no questions.
No, we're all good.
Yeah, we're all good.
Okay.
Yeah, just an awesome session, Lisa.
Just what?
Awesome session.
Oh, good, thank you. Well, yeah, as I say, hope you found something useful out of that, something to take away, and it's nothing too complicated. Like I say, we haven't gone into any fancy plugins or any shaders or anything. I thought let's just keep it simple this week because I haven't quite got into holiday mode yet. Believe it or not, I've actually got 6 days off work, and I still feel like I've still got that apprehension that I'm actually going to work tomorrow. My brain hasn't wound down yet, so it was going to be a simple one tonight. But thank you everybody for coming. I'm going to stop the recording now. It'll be uploaded. Oh, that's not right.
You.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
It will be uploaded on my channel.
Thank you, Lisa.